guys, Jessica with Southern Sparrow, and this is episode 5 of our Mahj 101 video series where we're showing you everything you need to know to start playing American Mahjong. Well, on the last video in episode 4, we learned about setting up for a game and dealing. So after the deal, you rack all of your tiles. You'll see that each player has placed their tiles into the sloped part of their rack. And now we're going to talk about how to get organized and how to start to choose a hand. Now, it can feel overwhelming as we look at this National Mahjong League card, which we covered in an earlier episode. It can feel overwhelming when you first get dealt your tiles to figure out what hand you're going to play. So let's talk through the organization process and how to choose that hand. Okay, I have gotten organized on my rack here. I'm going to show it to you here. So what I like to do when I get organized is I'll place my jokers and my flowers kind of over on what's my left of the rack. And then I get organized by suit and in number order. And then if I had some wins, they would go kind of over here, just organized. I just am setting things up so that I can see what I have. I see that I have a joker. We love having a joker. I see that I have a flower. I have a 2 crack, a 3 crack, a 4 crack. I have a 4 dot, a 6 dot, a 7 dot, and a 9 dot. And then I have a 3 bam, 5 bam, a pair of 8 bams, and a 9 bam. So that's what I have on the deal. Now, with this particular hand that I've been dealt here, there's not any one thing that's jumping out. I don't have a million evens in all of the suits or a single suit with a bunch of consecutive numbers. I don't have a bunch of wins. So this is the type of hand that makes it a bit difficult and a bit overwhelming. So what I like to do when I first get dealt my tiles and I first get organized is I don't choose a hand, meaning I don't choose a line on the card. I choose a section. So we're going to look at this. Having flowers on this 2025 card is great. There are flowers in at least 2 or 3 hands in every single section of the card, meaning this flower makes it more versatile for me to go to multiple sections and do multiple hands in that section. I'm going to hold that flower. I see I do have a handful of evens. So I have a 2 and a 4 here, a 4 and a 6 here, and this pair of 8s. That is what's jumping out to me. You could also make the argument, well, you have a 3, a 7, a 9, a 3, 5, 9. You can make the argument for odds. I'm pretty evenly split there, but because evens jumped out at me, first, I think I'm going to select as my section this 2, 4, 6, 8 section. That's going to be even numbers. So the reason that I select a section, the next thing that we're getting to and what we'll cover on the next episode is called the Charleston. The Charleston is unique to American Mahjong, and it is a way for you to get rid of tiles that you don't want in the hopes of collecting tiles that you do want. So you want to go into the Charleston having a section in mind, or maybe having a primary section and a backup section in mind, so that you can know what you're collecting for and what you're getting rid of. So I've decided to go for that 2, 4, 6, 8 section on this hand, meaning I'm going to collect any even number that is passed to me in the Charleston, and I'm going to get rid of everything else. And that just gives me a basis for collecting that is clear and concise, so that as I'm passing those Charleston passes, it's very easy for me to know what to get rid of and what to keep. And then as those passes go on, I'm hoping that it starts to become more and more clear within the hands that are open to me in that section what hand I should be playing. So that's this rack. Let's get rid of this rack and let's look at what this player was dealt. So I went ahead and organized each rack, but I didn't really take much look at it. So let's see what we have. We have a pair of 8 dots. We have 1 crack, a pair of 3 cracks, a pair of 5 cracks, and a 7 crack. We have a pair of 4 bams, a 7 bam, a dragon, and a south. Okay, so to me, and again, at this initial stage, maybe what's jumping out to you is going to be different than what's jumping out to me. But to me, what jumps out is this section here in the middle of the rack where we have odd numbers all in one suit, all in that crack suit. We have a bunch of odd numbers. I think the section that I would choose based on this deal and these tiles would be this 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section. So that's going to be the section that I select as the player of this hand. So I'm gonna keep this. I'm also going to keep any odd number because there's lots of opportunities in that section for multiple suits. So I'm gonna hold my 7 bam, and I'm gonna hold on to my green dragon for now because there are 2 hands in that 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section that require dragons. So I'm going to hold them and see what I get on those Charleston passes. Again, you're just trying to establish yourself now that you've racked and organized your tiles in a section so that you know what the heck you're collecting for as the game goes on. So we're going to have selected odds, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section. So during the Charleston, we will hold all the tiles that are relevant for that section and get rid of any tiles that aren't. Okay, so that's that rack. Let's look at our last 2 players, okay? And you kind of have the gist of what this is. So if you get it and you want to move on to the next video, which goes over exactly how those Charleston passes work, that's totally fine. But I do think that it's helpful to sometimes see different hands as they're dealt and see how they get narrowed down from choosing a section to choosing a hand during the Charleston. In fact, we have a whole playlist on how to choose a hand in Mahjong, and that playlist has tons of videos like this where you see what was dealt, how I organized for a section, and then how I chose the hand throughout the Charleston. So once you're done with this series, if you want to get better at choosing your hand, that's a great spot to go next. Okay, let's look at what this player has. So I have a pair of bird bams. Remember, the 1 bam is also called the bird bam. I have a pair of bird bams. I have a 3 bam, 4 bam, 7 bam, 2 dot, 7 dot, 9 dot, soap, which is the dragon for the dot suit, also called the white dragon, 9 crack, and a pair of red dragons, and then a south wind. So again, this is a kind of mixed bag. It's not super clear what I want to keep. Now, I do like that I have a couple of pairs that's making me want to look for something there. If I had ones across all of the suits with those dragons, I may look at any like number, but unfortunately I just have this single pair of ones. So I'm seeing a lot of odd numbers, right? I have the 1s, 3s, 7s, 7, 9, 9. I have some dragons. Maybe I'd be looking at this 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 section. That is kind of speaking to me the most. I know it's a bummer because we just did 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 on the last one. So I would probably organize this that way. Oops, my 3 is also an odd number. I would probably organize this that way for the first pass of the Charleston and then see where I land. I wish that my pair was in a higher number because I do have these 9s and 7s. So it would be neat if this was also, 7s or 9s. There's a lot more opportunity. You'll find in those sections that you're kind of either in the front end or in the back end of the numbers going in order. So it's nice to have them mixed together. It's kind of a bummer that we've got kind of a mismatched and on opposite ends there, but this is what I would stick with for that first Charleston pass and then see where I land if this were my rack. So I'm gonna put this back over here. And let's grab our last rack, which I think you guys have been looking at that this whole video. So you probably already have a great plan. I haven't really looked at this one yet. So, okay, we have 2 jokers. Y'all, I love a joker. We have 2 jokers. We have 1 dot, 6 dot, a pair of 3 bams, 5 bam, 9 bam. We have the 6 crack, pair of 8 cracks, and the dragon. So sometimes when you have a bunch of jokers on the deal, and it's not that this, 2 doesn't make a bunch, but it can make it a little bit more difficult to see what it is that you want to go for because you just don't, the jokers can go anywhere, right? So I don't know. I kind of like that I've got some 3s, some 6s, and some 9s. I think maybe I would solidify on the 3, 6, 9 section. I have kind of all 3 suits going and 3s, 6s, and 9s. I hate to get rid of a pair, but at the same time, I'm not seeing a real argument for much consecutive run. I guess maybe if you had the 7 in between. But for me, I think I'm going to solidify on this 3, 6, 9 section, and that would be what I planned going into the Charleston. So that's how you get organized, and how you start to kind of narrow down what hand to play in Mahjong is get organized by suit and in number order, breaking out those wins, breaking out those flowers and jokers. See what jumps out at you. See, do I have a bunch of wins? Do I have a bunch of evens? Do I have a bunch of odds? Do I have a bunch of numbers that go 2, 3, 4, 5? Do I have, that would put me in consecutive run. You're just trying to choose a section from the deal, and you'll go from that section and enter into the Charleston, and the Charleston is going to be our next video. So stick around, watch that with us. You're getting super close to being ready for your first game of Mahjong.